Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of the Focus program. Stay focused. I'm Pastor D.W. Talbert, pastor of the New Hope Baptist Church here in the great shoreline city of Muskegon, Michigan, USA. I'm so glad that you have chosen to join us once again for another edition of the Focus program. We are a Christian-based informational talk show that we share information with our listening and viewing public to inform you on the things that are happening in our community and beyond. So we're glad that you've joined us once again, and we thank you for that. Today, as always, we have a great show lined up for you tonight. We have also with us a very familiar community face tonight. Brother Joseph Warren is with us. Praise God. We thank him for coming, and he's here to share with us some things that he has done for the last 41 years as a volunteer in the Muskegon Heights school system. So we're delighted to have you, Brother Warren. Thank you so much for coming and taking the time to share with us and kind of to celebrate a milestone in your life and a milestone in the life of the community and specifically the school system. After 41 years of voluntary service and commitment to the school system, you've done quite a bit. And so we're certainly thankful to God for that and for your commitment. So we say thank you, first of all, and congratulations. And we certainly do appreciate your contribution.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Been a long time, huh?
Long time.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, give us a little recap on the last 41 years. There's so much to talk about in a little time that we have, but kind of recap, if you can, your 41-year venture.
Okay, it started back in 1978 after graduating from Muskegon Heights High School.
Okay.
I did only 3.5 years at Muskegon Heights, and then I went to work in Grand Haven.
Okay.
Because at that time we had what we call a semester waiver. In schools, if you had a full-time job, you can go to school up until January of that year. So that year I started work, and then I started to coach basketball at Central Grade Elementary School, which was the first elementary school that they actually shut down in Muskegon Heights.
Okay.
And then after that, I moved over to East Grace Loftus, which is called Ellen Grace Loftus. I think I coached there for like 3 years. The first year I did, I went to the championship game, but I actually lost.
Okay.
So I ended up coaching in the elementary schools for like 15 years, all volunteer.
Okay.
Then I ran the youth program for like the last 7 years of that. And then my son was coming up, my oldest son was coming up through elementary. My last year of coaching, he played for me. As a third grader, he played on the 6th grade team. And, as a father, we always wanted to, you see your kids out playing, but it's different when you see them, when you have to coach them.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I went from there I wanted to take a break because I wanted to just watch my son play and work with him.
Okay.
In 1996, I think it was, Coach Robert Dye was coaching middle school. And I think one of the coaches from the high school stepped down and he went up to the freshman team.
Okay.
So I got a call from him asking me would I like to come coach with him. I wanted to be done. So after that, we coached 1 year of freshman basketball, which we went undefeated.
Okay.
After that 1 year, we went to the junior varsity, and we coached 10 years together. The first 2 years there, we was undefeated.
Okay.
And in 1997, again, I had the opportunity to coach my son and my nephew, which that also made me very proud.
Yeah,
to be able to coach them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so after that, I in 2006, I decided to move on. I became a deacon in the church. And I wanted to put a lot of emphasis on that. So at that time, Pastor Guy, Clarence Guy, talked to me about doing some things with in the schools, and I started my own scholarship program.
Okay.
At that time, which was called a Greater Community Outreach Scholarship, and that wasn't just Muskegon Heights students. and I took the money out of my own pocket to fund that scholarship. And I did it through Muskegon Heights schools and Muskegon Public School District students was able to receive scholarship funding to further their education.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So then I started working with my own class, graduating class. For 20 years, I started volunteering to chair our class reunion.
Okay.
At that time, I started putting programs on to start like honoring the administrators that had an instrumental role in our lives as we came up through the system. We did a Mona Lake cleanup where the grass was probably about 4 feet tall.
Wow.
And we put that together with some people from the community.
Should have bought a horse, huh?
Well, we did. We ended up renting what they call a big hog.
Brush hog.
Yeah, and we ended up getting that. And we had to take turns riding it to cut the grass because the grass was so high. And no sooner we got it cut down where you can able to see water again.
Okay.
People were coming out, putting their feet in the water and things. So, and we also tried to put a program together where we would do what they call a catwalk. At that time, East Muskegon had their catwalk.
Okay.
And we tried to put a proposal to present to the city to get the catwalk to put it across the highway to help the kids so they wouldn't be trying to run across the highway.
Okay.
I also worked with Muskegon officials, Vice Chair Eric Hood, his wife Nitra Hood, in putting a volunteer Stop the Violence group program together for Heights in Muskegon.
Okay.
But one of the main things that I've done is when we worked in 2005, I think I was asked to sit on the board of directors for the Muskegon Heights Alumni Association.
Okay, right.
And at that time, I sat there for a couple of years, and then I became vice president. I think after 1 or 2 years as vice president, I became the president.
Okay, right.
At that time, most people didn't even know that we had an alumni association.
Okay.
So I had to start reaching out to people, not just in Muskegon Heights, that was Heights graduates. I reached out to people in North Carolina, New York, California, Arizona, to let them know that Muskegon Heights Alumni Association is up and running.
Right, okay.
In 1994, they had started it, but they shut it down for whatever reason. Al Nichols was one that Dr. Dana Bryant was superintendent of school and asked Al Nichols and some more people, they try to get it back up running again. And we did that. And while I was doing that as president, I did a lot of things. Once I got a lot of people involved, we did a lot of work.
Okay.
Some of the work that a lot of people today don't even know the work that we've done. We had street names changed.
Okay.
If you look in front of the high school, it was called Hume Street. We had that street name changed to the Burton Drive. Burton family was instrumental to Muskegon Heights. They was 2 brothers that played on the first state championship basketball team in Muskegon Heights. One of them, MC Burton, turned down a professional basketball contract to become a doctor.
Okay.
And Ed, he went on to play with the Harlem Globetrotters. And so we thought that they had done some great things, but all of that was under my leadership.
Okay.
Along with, we started our Hall of Fame program, along with trying to induct people that went on and did great things in Muskegon Heights, not just sports, but also academics, and with the band. So we tried to do a lot of things that that would help not only the community, but just help the youth of today, because they don't see a lot of it anymore.
Right.
They don't see a lot of the like I used to hear people say that kids don't get Division I scholarships out of Muskegon Heights, and that's not true. But the only way you get them, you got to have people in place to go out and seek those type of things.
Yeah, right.
And again, one of the things when I was coaching is I would always make sure that the kids had ate. I always make sure that the last thing I say to our team at the end of the season was, whatever they need, or if they ever need someone to talk to, I'm always here.
Right, right.
And 41 years later, I still have young men coming to me talking to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I also made it my goal, a goal of mine, to never allow them to see me high or drunk or in the streets acting a fool.
Right, right.
Because we don't see many black positive male role models anymore.
That's true.
So I tried to stress that I wanted to be one of those.
Yeah.
So when the school closed in 2012, the Muskegon Heights Public School, I stayed attacked. For years, I've always been to the board meetings, city council meetings. And in 2012, when the public school board reached out to the Michigan Department of Education and say, we don't know nothing else to do. So myself and the Alumni Association board stayed there, and we decided we would meet with the emergency manager and the state Michigan Department of Education. And at that time, they told us we had three choices. We sat there with the governor, and they were saying to us, well, here's your choices. We can't shut it down. We can lay off and keep you out of public, but it'll be just like bare bones. You might well be shut down. Or you can go into an academy school. And when you go into an academy, then we can work back toward becoming a public school. But at that time, I thought that was, I met with our board. We thought that was the best option. We were thinking that we would be able to go back to a public school. But 8-9 years later, we still in the academy.
Right.
So I went out and I started calling around people like my cousin Michael McKinney, Linda Vines, and Joy Robinson. Joy was the president of the Teachers Union. Paula Dawson, which lived on the east side of the state. Bridget Lindsay, which is her sister. They all came from the east side of the state. We walked the streets on Saturdays and sometime through the week, myself, Dale Todd, enrolling kids back into the school district to let them know that Muskegon Heights wasn't going anywhere. And so we ended up enrolling like 1,400 kids back that year. I met along with Fred Waller.
These kids had just dropped out, fallen by the wayside.
When they said they was going to close the school district, a lot of kids didn't know where they was going. But we wanted to assure them that Muskegon Heights was going to open back up in September. When we met with the state said we got 3 months to get this stuff in place. And from, I think it was May till August, they worked, we worked. They put a superintendent in place, Alina Zachary Ross. And I met with her twice when they put her in place, and I told her we were the Alumni Association. And whatever we can do to help you to get this school up and running, we'll be right here with you. And so that's what we done. And when we went door to door, it was a lot of people didn't know what to do, but we had to assure them. The emergency manager, because some people, I'm bagging up a little, some people was saying that the Heights wasn't going to have sports and all of that. That was the rumor that was out. At that time, they hadn't had anything in place. So people were just talking. So I did myself, Fred Waller, and his name's Shabadoo, but he's a radio host. And his last name is Toronto Waller as well. But we sat down and we met with the state, the emergency manager and everything, the superintendent. We told them if you don't get the sports back in place, there's no need of even opening the school. Because these kids in Muskegon Heights thrived on sports program. So about a couple of days later, I got a call from the emergency manager asking me for my email address. And he sent me a copy of the sports application where they had filed with the state, Michigan Athletic Association, and got it approved and paid the funding for it to get that going. So then at that time, I had to go out and produce that information to the community saying, hey, we do have sports. it's hard when you got 2 or 3 people trying to convince a community of everything that we have tried to convince them of in 2 months. Mm-hmm. One, you try to convince them that your school's going to open. 2, your sports program. We was working. They was sitting me down, asking me about teachers, sitting me on interview panels with coaches. A lot of things. I'm just running with it because I'm trying to do this for the kids.
Right.
I had to tell people a lot of times, it's not about me. Mm-hmm. But if we can get our kids to do the right thing, and we can educate our kids, then we'll have a better community. Yeah. When we talk about the violence and the education that our kids are lacking, but it takes us all to become that, you know. And my mother always told me to always do volunteer work, not knowing that I would do 41 years of it. Right. But I haven't. Out of the 41 years, I haven't had a bad. I mean, it's always been good for me.
That's good.
And it's been good to me.
That's good.
I've always, like back in the 80s, a lot of people don't know, you don't tell people some of the things that you do because you do it from the heart, not because you want to be noticed for it.
Yes.
But back in the early 80s, I used to purchase all of the shoes for the girls' basketball team. Okay. And I did that because in 1985, those same girls, I went to Coach Dorothy Gill Jackson. And at that time I was refereeing, I was officiating for the state of Michigan. And I asked her, after officiating a 7th and 8th grade girls basketball game, they didn't have a clue what they was doing. Mm-hmm. And I asked her, because she was the varsity coach, girls coach, did she mind if I start a girls elementary basketball program? So she'd say, hey, go for it. Mm-hmm. So then at that time I went to John Sidnor, which was the superintendent of the Muskegon Heights Public School. Right. And he wanted to know how it was going to be funded. Okay. So then I left him and I went to the city manager of the city, Joe Charlton. Okay. And the 3 of us sat down and put our heads together, and they decided that they would jointly fund the program. Today that program is still running. And so, I tried to continue working with those young ladies financially. And a couple years I did coach girls basketball, but I was more on coaching with the guys. Yeah. Because girls, you can't push them as hard as you can boys. Right. And so, we worked. It's a lot of work. But I think when we get to school, I think right now the administration today don't know the work that we have put in to keep them employed. And I think that the administration today needs to stop and take a step back and look at why they is here today. Right. Because if it wasn't for the Alumni Association, Muskegon Heights would not be open today. And, you got school board members that sits on that board, don't have a clue of what we did. Yeah. The administration don't have a clue of what we did. But it's some people that they let go knew all of the work, such as like Glenn Metcalf, which was the athletic director. For a long time, he was the gym teacher in Muskegon Heights Public Schools. He was the athletic director. When they changed us over to the academy, Glenn Metcalf became, again, the athletic director. Okay. He coached varsity football for 20-some years at Muskegon Heights. Okay. Glenn Metcalf knew the work that we done. There's a lot of other people that knew the work that we done. Jerry Harris. Jerry Harris is still there trying to help them out after 51 years. He is still trying to help them out. I remember when Mr. Harris had I can't remember if it was a heart attack or whatever. He was still doing work from his hospital bed for the school. Oh, man. And you take people like that and myself, how do you push them away from your school district, somebody that gave so much of their time and effort to make it where you can have a job or you can help other people to make a better life for themselves. But the administration, I think, that they have today it's not about the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the kids. I think it's about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not afraid to speak out and say what I think is wrong with the school district,
mm-hmm.
because I volunteered for 41 years in Muskegon Heights.
Right.
And I think I should have a voice to say what I want to say.
Yeah.
So that's just a lot of the things that I've done.
Mm-hmm. And that's a remarkable span of time and a career, if you will, that you put in. You know, so many times, and I've said it in the context of church, maybe sometimes a sermon or a teaching, that a lot of times there are people behind the scenes doing things, you know, kind of like a play. You know, and out on the stage, you know, you only see maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people at a given moment, but there may be 50 or more people behind the scenes who are doing things that are making that possible in front of the scene. And you're one of those people behind the scenes and have been so for many, many years, 41 years. And that's remarkable. And, you know, your hands have been on a lot of things, and most importantly, a lot of lives. And so, you know, you have to be real happy and pleased with yourself, because you have really affected in a very positive way a lot of young lives who are now people who are adults who are running things in society today.
Right.
From here to California, you know, they're running things, and those are lives that you touched when they were, you know, 7th grade, 6th grade, high school, and so forth. And that's remarkable. That's something to be very, very proud of.
And that's one thing I didn't talk about a lot. I didn't talk about the sacrifice that my family gave because of the work that I was doing outside of the home.
Yeah, I imagine.
I did tell them a lot that this is what I enjoy. But I still made time, you know, as my kids was growing up, and you know, when I was married to my kid's mother, you know, we made sure that our kids never went lacking.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had a hectic job working at SD Warren. At that time, it was SD Warren when I got hired. It changed the name to Sappy. Well, we worked 7 days a week.
Wow.
Sometimes 12, 16 hours a day. You know, and it's time I would get home 2 o'clock in the morning from a basketball game in Saginaw, Flint, Detroit. And I would get off the bus going right to work.
Yeah.
And I did all of that that had nothing to do with my kids. That had something to do with somebody else's kids.
Right.
But my kids, I constantly talked to them and explained to them that they still was first.
Yeah.
And that I had to make sure that my family came first. And I had to continue. When I had time, I did whatever I could to make sure that my family was taken care of. They never went without.
Yeah.
So I also like, you know, when I talk about my family and even my sisters, I had 9 sisters.
Okay. You the youngest?
I'm the only guy.
The only boy.
And,
well, if I had time to do another show, I could talk about that.
And, you know, but even my sisters, and one of the things, my mother never came. She came to one game I coached in 21 years.
Okay.
And when she came to that one game, she met one of my cousins that was playing for River Rouge. His dad, his grandmother was my mother's sister. And she never met him.
Okay.
And when she came to the game and I introduced her to him, I had never met him till we got out of the locker room. I introduced her to him because when her sister passed, my mother brought his dad to stay with us. At that time, it was 14 of us in the house. And the thing that was her first time coming.
Okay.
And she passed later on that year.
Oh, man. So sorry.
And so, you know, that's how I always been thankful for my mother.
Yeah.
To be the one to bring me up.
Yes, right.
And to make me the man that I am today.
That's wonderful.
You know, because with 14 kids in the house, it wasn't easy sleeping 3 in a bed.
Yeah, that's true. Well, listen, before we wrap up, tell me one thing in all the 41 years that you have served in these various capacities, the one thing that you are the most proud.
Well, I'm more proud of the things I've done with that alumni association.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know the work that we've done. When we talked about changing streets, we put championship signs on the east side and the west side of the city. Most schools do that when they school won championships. Muskegon Heights had never done that.
Okay.
You know, it's a lot of things that I'm proud of. You know, when I worked with the emergency manager to keep Muskegon High School open, I was proud of myself for doing that.
Okay.
You know, you don't see many citizens do that. You see a lot of school boards and people, you know, city officials. Those are the people that normally do that. Our city and our school officials, they kind of like wash their hands with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that they wash their hands, but when I talked to the school board, Muskegon Heights Public School Board, they said there's nothing else they knew to do. Most of them took their kids out, sent them to another school district, and you know, I mean, you was elected, but you still chose after you said you know what to do. You took your tax dollars and sent them elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
But we tried to bring kids in, you know, and that's that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of all the work that I've done.
Yeah.
You know?
And we are too. We thank you so much. People like you are, you know, don't get enough credit for what you've done and enough recognition just to let people know that someone's doing this, and hopefully to inspire more people to do that, what you're doing, because eventually somebody's going to have to come along and take all of our places and pick up the baton and keep running. So we thank you again, Brother Warren. We thank you so much. And we're just about all out of time. It goes by so fast.
Yeah.
But we certainly, again, appreciate you taking the time to do the show and to come on and share with us your experience. And again, we thank you on behalf of the community, especially on behalf of the Focus program. We certainly do thank you, and we pray your strength and that you will continue to fight on and continue to work and strive to make our community a better place. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
And we thank our viewers for tuning in again to the Focus program. We're all out of time. We have to go, but we want you to remember, and always never forget that when you get with Jesus, you're going up. God bless you, and we'll see you again next time. Hello, everybody. I'm Pastor D.W. Talbert.
This is Pastor Matt from Celebration.
I'm from New Hope Baptist Church, and we're here to make a great announcement about the Thanksgiving Eve worship service coming up.
We're going to meet here at New Hope on November 27th for the meal at 5:30, and at 6:30 we're going to have the service.
That's right. 5:30, we're going to have a joint meal together, potluck. We want people to bring some food, you know, bring something to eat, and desserts.
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes. What else do we need? Something with a bone in it.
Side dishes are good too.
That's right. Something to get on, you know, to mix with that meat, and some desserts, and I think that's desserts and everything.
Yeah, you can say desserts one more time.
Desserts, again, we need some of those, and
We just want to make sure everybody comes,
mix it up
bring
real
something
good.
along. It'll be a great evening together. New Hope and Celebration together. This is our 4th year doing it.
Right,
We want to
right.
invite you to it.
Right. We've done this for many years. It's been a huge success. Great turnout. So we're looking forward to it again. Thanksgiving Eve, the 27th of November at 5:30 p.m. And the service will begin directly following the 5:30 p.m. meal. Looking for you there.
See you there.
Come on down. Thank you. All right. Now we're rolling now.
Are we rolling already?
Yeah.
You got all of that?
So we're only going to take it from
Good.
the time that we action. All right. Ready?
I'm so ready.
Count us down.